Hello everyone, I'm so happy to see you back on my channel. Thank you for always being here, watching, and supporting the story of Ly Hoai Ca, a resilient single mother, a woman of strength and sacrifice, who always puts her family first. In the previous episodes, we witnessed the heartbreaking event when Hùng, Hoai Ca's husband, was brutally attacked by smugglers during a mission. He suffered severe injuries, his life hanging by a thread like a flickering candle in the wind. That tragic news was like a sharp knife to Hoai Ca's heart, pushing her already difficult life into deeper hardship, tears, and worry. In today's episode, we will follow every step of Hoai Ca, a petite mother carrying within her extraordinary strength. How will she manage taking care of the fields and the daily meals, while anxiously waiting day and night for news of her husband? Will the pain of loss and the exhaustion of body and mind break her down, or instead forge her into someone even stronger? As for Hùng, he will face harsh trials on his path to recovery. Will his unyielding will and the love for his wife and child be enough to help him overcome the shadow of death and return home? And when the truth gradually comes to light, will family love be strong enough to conquer the storm, or will cracks appear that cannot be mended? All of this will be revealed in today's episode. I invite you to watch closely and feel the unexpected, moving moments that unfold. And don't forget to share your thoughts and leave your kind wishes for Hoai Ca and Hùng family in the comments below. Your care and support are the driving force that motivates me to keep bringing you even more emotional episodes. The first day of the week, the sky stretched endlessly without a single cloud, the morning sunlight pure and golden, coating each bamboo shoot at the village gate. The countryside was still drowsy, with only the distant, cheerful crowing of roosters echoing through the quiet. On the vegetable beds behind the house, dewdrops lingered, sparkling like strings of pearls under the early sun. A gentle breeze drifted by, carrying the scent of moist earth and tender grass, making the air fresh and unusually serene. Hoai Ca had risen very early. For her, a new day was not marked by clocks, but by the crowing of roosters at dawn and the habits ingrained deep into her being. She tiptoed into the yard, broom of bamboo in hand. Each sweep across the old brick floor rustled steadily, the familiar sound like a morning prelude, bringing peace and calm to the young woman's heart. When the yard was clean, Hoai Ca turned to the kitchen. She bent down to start the fire, her hands swiftly arranging the firewood, the palm fan fluttering in rhythm. The flames caught quickly, flickering across her suntanned face, turning her cheeks rosy beneath the thin veil of smoke. Smoke curled through the small kitchen, blending with the sweet aroma of newly harvested rice, transforming the humble space into something warmly inviting. It was the fragrance of life itself, of a home both simple and enduring. When the rice was cooked, Hoai Ca prepared her bamboo basket. Inside were a few bundles of green vegetables left from the previous day, their leaves still fresh and crisp, beside a few coins folded neatly in an old cloth. She planned to bring the vegetables to the market, then buy some new seeds to plant. For her, it was daily routine, yet it was also a precious source of income, sustaining her life, feeding her hope for a more plentiful tomorrow. The path leading to the village market was one she knew by heart. Each step carried memories, each breath tied to the land that had raised her. Though she had walked it countless times, the road never grew dull. Each time she carried her basket down the dirt path, her heart brimmed with anticipation. The scuff of worn sandals against the dry earth, the chirping sparrows in the trees, the creaking of bamboo leaves in the wind, all joined into a gentle countryside symphony. On the way, a few familiar neighbors called out, "Hoai Ca, off to market so early?" She turned with a smile, one that was gentle and kind. Her eyes shone with sincerity as her lips returned a warm greeting. In the countryside, the simple bond of neighbors was often the warmest support a person could have. Within Hoai Ca's heart, a simple faith remained unshaken. As long as she worked hard with patience and persistence, life would change and tomorrow would be brighter. The golden sunlight stretched along her footsteps, and with each breath of that peaceful morning, hope spread quietly within her. And so her everyday story unfolded, plain yet brimming with love. Every small task, every steady step carried the devotion of a mother, a wife for her family. Little did Hoai Ca know, behind the rustic calm, storms were silently gathering, waiting for the day they would sweep away the fragile peace she clung to so dearly. Hùng, a brave police officer, was still lying in treatment after the brutal ambush by smugglers on the border. The hospital room was silent, filled only with the creak of the ceiling fan and the sharp scent of disinfectant. On the old iron bed, the white sheet covered his once strong body, now gaunt, his torso wrapped tightly in bandages. The dim yellow light cast shadows over his pale face, dry cracked lips, and weakened frame. After many long days in a coma, his thick lashes trembled faintly. Bit by bit, awareness slowly returned, like weak rays of light piercing through a suffocating darkness. His eyelids felt unbearably heavy, opening and closing until at last he awoke fully. Before him was the stark white ceiling, the blurred spin of the fan, everything unfamiliar, hazy, dreamlike. Then the pain came, sharp and merciless, spreading through his body. Hùng grimaced, his trembling hands clutching the blanket's edge. Every small movement reignited the agony, dragging him back to the edge of the forest battlefield, the moment of life and death when, had he been a second slower, he might never have opened his eyes again. The door creaked open. The hurried yet careful footsteps of his comrade Minh echoed inside. Minh carried a warm box of milk, his breath still uneven from running from the canteen. The instant he saw Hùng awake, his face lit up. He set the milk down quickly and leaned over, gently helping Hùng sit up. His hands were steady and strong, but every motion was delicate, as though he feared causing further pain. Minh's voice was deep, heavy with concern yet warm with affection. Try to drink a little milk, comrade. Your body is weak, you need nourishment to recover quickly. Drink well, so you can return to your family soon. Hùng gazed at his friend, emotions welling up in his chest. His eyes reddened, shimmering with gratitude. He nodded faintly, forcing through the pain, and whispered hoarsely, "Thank you, Minh." The words were simple, yet heavy with brotherhood. He knew that beyond the love of his family, it was the bond of comradeship, unyielding and steadfast, that gave him strength to endure. Minh smiled, an honest, heartfelt smile, though his eyes betrayed his worry. For days, he had scarcely left the hospital, running errands for food and medicine, sometimes sitting silently by Hung's bed, sharing stories from the unit to ease the loneliness. In these dangerous days, that camaraderie grew deeper, precious as kinship. Hùng took the milk, sipping slowly. Each swallow sent jolts of pain through his wounds, yet the warmth spreading in his stomach gave him some relief. After finishing, he leaned back with a weary sigh. His voice was broken, halting, but filled with emotion. "I was struck from behind. Didn't even have time to react. I just remember falling, the world going black. When I woke, I was already here. They say, a strange girl happened to pass by, found me, and brought me to the hospital. I don't know who she is, but this life-saving grace, I will never forget. When I recover, I will find her and thank her myself." Hearing this, Minh gripped Hung's frail shoulder firmly. He said nothing more, only nodded with conviction. In that nod was empathy, trust, and a silent vow to walk beside Hung through every hardship, until one day, both of them would return to their post, ready again to guard the peace of the borderlands. That morning, sunlight streamed through the window, flooding the hospital room that had long been shrouded in the sharp scent of disinfectant. The steady echo of a doctor's shoes on the hallway tiles stopped outside the door. He entered, holding a thick medical file, his eyes fixed on Hung, propped up weakly on the bed, his gaunt face already more alert than in the first days. The doctor carefully examined the wounds, gently lifting each bandage, studying his patient's reactions. After a while, he nodded, his voice calm yet reassuring. "Comrade Hung, rest easy. Upon examination, there is no serious brain injury, only some soft tissue damage around the head and shoulder. With proper rest, correct medication, and monitoring for a few more days, your health will gradually stabilize. However, it is absolutely important that you avoid any strenuous activity and certainly do not leave the hospital too early." Hearing this, Hung closed his eyes briefly, letting out a long sigh. The burden of worry eased somewhat. But then, lifting his head, his eyes hardened with determination as he looked straight at the doctor. "Doctor, I really don't want to trouble anyone any longer. Please allow me to be discharged early. Just prescribe the medication, I can take it at home and rest there." Those words startled Min, who stood nearby, his brows knitting. He knew Hung well, a man of resilience, hardened by years of service. But this time, Min was unsettled by such recklessness. He was about to object when his gaze met Hung's unwavering eyes. So, instead, he sank into the chair, silently waiting to hear more. When the doctor left, Hung spoke again, his voice hoarse but firm. "I don't want to waste a bed here. There are many patients who need it more than I do. My wounds are not so serious. I can manage at home with medicine." Min studied his friend quietly, his heart swelling with both sympathy and worry. Hoping to shift the conversation, he asked gently, and in that moment, he learned details of Hung's life he had never heard before. Hung's parents had passed away early, leaving only him and his elder brother. His brother had long gone far from home, working odd jobs to send back a little money, seldom returning. Hung, since the day he donned the police uniform, had considered the duty of protecting his homeland as his sole purpose. Every hardship, every sacrifice, he bore it all in silence, never once complaining. Min was stunned when Hung suddenly mentioned his love life. His eyes dimmed with sorrow, gaze drifting as though searching some faraway place. His voice dropped low, deliberate with every word. "There's a girl. We've loved each other for many years. Our bond runs deep, but still we cannot marry. Too many obstacles, family, work, circumstances. I fear, if she learns I'm injured, it will only bring her worry and sorrow. I don't want that for her." His hands clenched tightly, the veins rising against his frail skin. The wounds on his body still bled, but the ache within him was sharper, thinking of the woman still waiting back home. Hung pressed his lips together, his eyes burning with conviction. "All I wish is for her to be happy, to live in peace, free of burden because of me. This pain, I can endure it. As long as she can keep her smile, then every hardship, every sacrifice on my part is worth it." Beside him, Min sat in silence, unable to speak, overwhelmed by both admiration and sorrow. He realized that Hung was not only a courageous soldier on the battlefield, but also a man of deep devotion, willing to carry every wound alone, so the woman he loved would never have to shed a tear. The room fell still, filled only with the quiet breaths of the two men. One was a soldier, injured yet unbroken, carrying a will of steel. The other, a comrade and brother, sat silently by, bearing witness, and in his heart vowing one thing: he would not let Hung face this burden alone. After many days of observation, following consultations with the nurses and a careful inspection of the wounds, the doctor finally nodded in agreement to discharge Hung. His voice was stern but full of responsibility as he gave his instructions. The injuries are not life-threatening, but you must not be careless. If you don't rest properly and take your medication as prescribed, it could leave lasting effects. I agree to let you go home, but only on the condition that you are monitored closely and absolutely refrain from heavy work. Hearing this, Hung's weary face lit up faintly. He nodded, his hoarse but steady voice carrying the weight of a promise. I understand, doctor. Thank you for your dedication. I'll follow your instructions exactly. Standing nearby, Min quietly accepted the prescription from the doctor. In that moment, a firm resolve rose within him. From now on, he would be the one to care for Hung, making sure his friend and comrade would not endure his suffering alone. That noon, the sky was bright blue and golden sunlight poured down. Min supported Hung as they left the hospital. The walk from the infirmary to Min's house wasn't far, yet for Hung, every step was a trial. His body still ached all over, his legs unsteady. One misstep could send him collapsing. Min lent his shoulder as support, guiding him slowly, carefully. Sweat soaked through his shirt, but he uttered not a word of complaint. Now and then, he leaned close and whispered warmly. Just a little further, we're almost home. Min's house nestled under the shade of an old chinaberry tree. It was only a simple four-room house, the roof tiles tinged green with moss, the plaster walls cracked with age. Yet as soon as Hung stepped through the bamboo gate, he felt warmth spreading around him. In the yard, Min's father, a thin man in his 60s, leaning on a bamboo cane, was waiting. The moment he saw his son helping Hung along, he hurried forward, his voice hoarse but brimming with kindness. Now that you're here, we can rest easy. I'll head into the forest for herbal medicine, apply it for a few days, and you'll recover quickly. Hung bowed his head, both embarrassed and deeply moved. Never had he imagined that, in his hardest time, a family of strangers would receive him as one of their own. The old man's silver hair and gentle gaze were filled with care, as though he were looking at his own son. Min quickly helped Hung into the main room. He settled him onto a bamboo bed by the wall, then took off his jacket and headed straight for the kitchen. Flames soon flickered, lighting up the corner, smoke curling into the scent of freshly harvested rice. Soon, the fragrance of hot porridge filled the air. On another stove, a pot of herbal medicine bubbled, its earthy aroma seeping into every corner, soothing the space with a rare, homely warmth. While stirring the pot, Min turned to glance at his friend, a gentle smile breaking across his sweat-streaked face. Think of this as your own home. I'm still single, free of burdens. Being able to care for you right now is a blessing. It's nothing you need to feel guilty about. Hearing those words, Hung lowered his head. His eyes blurred, not from the pain in his body, but from the warmth rising deep in his chest. For years in service, he had grown accustomed to gunpowder, to danger, to sudden threats that could steal his life away at any moment. But today, in this old moss-tiled house, embraced by comradeship and simple kindness, Hung truly felt what it meant to experience a happiness both modest and priceless. Quietly, he thought, perhaps it is moments like these that give a person strength to endure storms, to stand tall, and to believe in tomorrow. And Hung knew this debt of gratitude would stay with him for life, etched into his memory like a beautiful scar, never to fade. Inside the humble little house, the smoke of herbal medicine lingered low, blending with the scent of freshly cooked rice porridge, creating a strangely earthy yet comforting fragrance. On the bamboo bed by the wall, Hung lay on his side, one hand resting lightly on his stomach, his breathing heavy. Each deep inhale sent sharp stings through the wounds on his shoulder and ribs, like needles piercing his flesh. His whole body ached, drained of strength, yet what tormented him more was the unease in his heart. His mind kept circling back to the smuggling case he and his comrades had been working on. Even while lying still in this modest home, his spirit was restless, unable to find peace. Min sat across from him, having just finished a hurried bowl of rice. Setting his chopsticks down on the bamboo table, he quietly observed his friend. He noticed Hung's distant eyes, fixed on something far away, as if his thoughts remained on the front lines rather than in this house. Min leaned slightly forward, his voice steady, low, but resolute. "Don't worry anymore, Hung. I know you're thinking about that case. But rest assured, Comrade Truong has taken direct command. The entire shipment of counterfeit goods has been seized, and the smuggling ring dismantled. The villagers along the border will suffer less now. Leave the rest to the unit. Your duty now is to recover your strength." Min's firm words cut through the silence of the room, severing the tangled worries in Hung's mind like a clean blade. Hung froze for a moment, then slowly closed his eyes, exhaling a long breath. His tense shoulders eased, his gaze softened, as if he had finally found a place to lean on. Trust in his comrades, in the unit, once shaken by anxiety, grew steadier than ever. Hung turned to him, a weary but sincere smile tugging at his pale face. "Thank you, comrade. I know, with brothers like you by my side, I can rest at ease. When I'm fully recovered, I'll invite you to my hometown. Think of it as your home too, because to me, you're like family." Min paused briefly at those words, his eyes glinting with emotion. Then suddenly, he burst into laughter, a hearty laugh that filled the small house and lifted the heavy air. It wasn't laughter for jest, but for reassurance, to let Hung know their bond was stronger than blood. He patted Hung's shoulder lightly, his tone firm. "All right then, I'll be waiting for that invitation. But first, you must keep your promise to me. Take your medicine on time, eat well, rest properly. No more stubbornness, no more pushing yourself." In that moment, the old moss-tiled house seemed warmer than ever. Outside, the evening breeze stirred the chinaberra branches, scattering shadows across the brick courtyard. Sparrows chirped as they returned to their nests, while a dog barked faintly in the distance, all blending into the tranquil symphony of the countryside. Inside, two soldiers sat facing each other, one battered and scarred, struggling to overcome both physical and inner pain, the other, devoted in care, offering loyalty and brotherhood as if they shared the same bloodline. No flowery words were needed. Through simple glances of trust and a few honest phrases, they had given each other strength, a foundation to move forward. For Hung, that very moment was the most precious medicine, proof that no matter how fierce the storms outside might be, he would never face them alone. Night had fallen, and the entire village sank into stillness. The moon peeked through the old chinaberry trees, scattering faint beams of light across the brick courtyard. In the small kitchen, Min busied himself, one hand stirring the pot of hot porridge, the other tending to the herbal medicine simmering steadily. The fragrance of rice mingled with the faint aroma of herbs, filling the house with a gentle warmth against the quiet night. Hung leaned back against the bamboo wall, his gaunt face etched with fatigue. His eyes drifted far away, not on the fire flickering in the hearth, but toward another place, where the image of the woman he loved most lived on. In his mind, Hoai Ca appeared vividly, her petite frame in a plain brown dress, her hands roughened by hard work, yet her smile warm and radiant enough to chase away all weariness. He missed her desperately. He missed the afternoons watching her bent over the fields, the simple yet comforting meals they once shared, and the pure laughter of the child they had not yet raised together. His heart tightened with longing. He wanted nothing more than to reach for the phone, to hear her familiar voice. Yet his hand froze midair, he dared not. Greater than his longing was the fear of making her worry, of bringing tears to her eyes. In that moment, his parched lips moved, whispering words that melted into the night breeze. As long as I can stand again, as long as I live, I will return to her and our child. The kitchen fire blazed, casting the shadows of the two men across the wall. Min sat quietly, fanning the flames, saying nothing, but the steadfast look in his eyes was a silent vow. He would always remain by his friend's side. The steam rising from the herbal pot curled into the air, spreading through the small home like a fragile thread binding faith and hope together. In that hushed silence, Hung closed his eyes. The pain in his body still tormented him, but deep within, a quiet strength had been kindled. It was his love for Hoai Ca, his duty to his child, the unspoken promise of a husband and father. And it was the fire of this night, the fire in the hearth, in the medicine, and in his heart, that kept Hung's belief alive, that he would recover and one day return whole to his family. In the stillness of the night, the kitchen fire flickered, casting light on Hung's gaunt face, where determination still burned brightly in his eyes. He clenched his fists, vowing silently to rise again, to return to Hoai Ca and their child, to fulfill the promise of a husband and a father. Outside, the night breeze stirred the chinabera branches, while the radiant moon seemed to bear witness to his unspoken vow. Min remained by his side, quietly keeping watch, saying nothing more, but within his heart, a steady faith stirred, that Hung would endure and overcome. Will courage and love be strong enough to help Hung recover swiftly? And when he returns, how will Hoai Ca face the storms that have yet to subside? All will be revealed in the next episode. Stay tuned to witness the moving turns of this story.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình hiện tại đang làm việc đêm. Bây giờ là 1 giờ 30 phút đêm, tức là 1 giờ 30 phút sáng, và hiện tại thì mình vẫn đang ngồi làm việc. Bây giờ thì mình khá là buồn ngủ rồi và mình đang cố gắng để có thể hoàn thành video sau đó đi ngủ. Wow, hôm nay xảy ra một số chuyện nó bất ngờ, xong mình tốn thời gian ban ngày rất là nhiều cho những công việc đấy và mình không thể hoàn thành video được. Và tại vì mình đã đặt mục tiêu là mình sẽ hoàn thành video, nên bây giờ dù có thức khuya thì mình vẫn đang cố gắng để có thể hoàn thành video. Thì hy vọng rằng với công sức của mình thì mọi người sẽ xem kênh của mình nhiều hơn, ủng hộ cho kênh của mình nhiều hơn cho mọi người đấy này. Trời ơi, hai cuồng mắt nó đen xì luôn. Chắc là từ mai mình sẽ phải ngủ sớm và làm việc sớm thôi. Còn hôm nay thì chào tạm biệt mọi người, hẹn gặp lại cho những video tiếp theo.